Ladies and gentlemen, a widely requested video has come at last. The secret sauce of what makes Deso turn into Demon Deso. Today I'm going to be going over the tools and my practice regimen on how I improve my aim and utility usage. Firstly, I want to talk about my kind of like quote-unquote practice schedule, because I'm going to be really honest, because I don't get paid to play Counter-Strike at all, I only spend about 2 days a week, 1 to 2 hours per day practicing my aim. And when I practice my aim, I normally do target acquisition and spray control because I feel like my target acquisition is really good and so is my spray control. So I'm really just focusing and honing those skills because I know they're already really good. The next thing that I'll focus on is utility usage. I'll just kind of refresh myself on smokes and mollies and flashes, lineups that I know, lineups that I've made, just to kind of keep them fresh in my head, because I find, especially with utility usage, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Right out of the gate, I'll first list all the tools that I use, and then I'm going to talk about them later on, about what I use them for. So first and foremost, we have to give a shout out to the Yprac guide maps. These are insane. I use these the most. Secondly, we have bot_training_dust by Zim in the workshop. Most of my time is honestly spent on that map. Third, we have Recoil Master Spray Training by Uletical. This is honestly where I learned to spray the most. This is a very useful map, 10 out of 10 recommend. And lastly, we have AimBotz Training by Uletical, again used mostly for target acquisition. First, let's talk about the Yprac maps. These have probably been the biggest and best use of my time in CSGO outside of the server. These maps allow you to do a couple of things, with the most helpful being utility lineups. And while these aren't perfect, what they allow you to do is learn the basics of where to aim your crosshair to throw a piece of utility. I also recommend finding your own lineups using the integrated practice tool, which lets you free roam the map with unlimited utility and a bot. I use this mode the most when I'm trying to find my own lineups for smokes, mollies, and flashes, and seeing if it'll affect certain parts of the map or even apply damage using the bot roughly where the real player would sit. To give you an example, I found the CT to be smoke from T-Bridge on Inferno. It's pretty situational, but if you're in a 1v1 and the CT is Archer B, there's a pretty good chance you can force a rotation or force them to sit. The other thing I like to do is for flashes specifically is to make my own lineups, and what I will do is I'll make my own lineup, I'll throw the flash towards where the bot is sitting, and then I will swap in the chat. And what it does is it changes your position with the bot, and then if you rethrow in the chat, it'll rethrow that same flash and you'll be able to see how much you're blinded and from what position you'll be blinded from. Super useful tool. That's probably the one that I use the most. Let's talk about pre-fire practice. There's not a situation where I haven't found myself thinking that I've practiced as much as I did with the pre-fires, and the benefit here is twofold. The first is that it gets you used to putting your crosshair at the headshot angle towards all the angles you are going to be clearing, and the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Repetition is key. And it also gives you an understanding of where players can put themselves and tuck themselves. So you're going to start being able to clear sites, knowing that, okay, once I cleared out this portion of the map, it's likely that they're going to be sitting in these sections of the site, etc., etc. Next up is the defense practice. This tool I use to warm up my aim almost as much as any other aim training map. What it does is it either puts you on A, B, or mid as a player and has bots run at you from all directions. So you can move around the site, you can move around mid, but the bots are always going to come at you. So what it gets you used to is target acquisition, spraying, headshots, and kind of trying to get them before they all swarm you. My recommendation with the Yprac maps is that you go into each one and just try everything and see what works for you. Honestly, working on like the top 5 most played maps, which in my opinion are Dust 2, Mirage, Inferno, Nuke, and what's the other one? Overpass. Those ones, if you just practice those 5, it'll give you a good basis of what to work on. Work on Vertigo, Anubis, Ancient later on. So the next map that I use is bot_training_dust by Zim. This is probably the map that I spend the second most amount of my time, and is, if I just want to work on my aim for today, I will literally load into that map and I will just do 1,000 bots, I'll do 2,000 bots, etc., etc. Only because the benefit of this map over AimBotz is that there's elevation changes and the bots are coming at you. So you're not just swinging your mouse from side to side, because once you understand that you're target acquisition is good in AimBotz, start doing your target acquisition with elevation changes and while they're running at you, because then you have to implement your tracking, you have to implement your spray transfers while you're tracking, and it's actually super beneficial. This map I use the most for my spray transfer training, so honestly, here's a clip of me practicing my spray transfers, and here's a clip, or actually a couple clips of me applying it into practice. It's super useful and probably the best one that I can give credit to. Thirdly, we have the Recoil Master Spray Training map by Uletical. This map is pretty self-explanatory. What you're going to do on it is you're going to practice your recoil control against a wooden plank that doesn't really do anything. There's a little green dot. You can follow the dot with your crosshair to begin with. You can then get rid of that dot to see how much you've improved on. And you can also change the distance of where that wooden plank sits relative to where you're sitting. So if you're trying to practice your spray transfers at a long distance, or rather spray control at a long distance, that map is also beneficial because it has every single weapon available to you, every submachine gun and every rifle. So if you wanted, you're like, I'm not quite sure what the P90 spray pattern is, even though I don't think it actually has one, load up into Spray Master and give it a shot. Lastly, we have AimBotz training by Uletical again. Honestly, this one is pretty self-explanatory. The best thing that this map is good for is target acquisition, because it also has a challenge mode where you're going to try to kill 100 bots in as little time as possible. But honestly, there is a plateau with this map. There is only so much benefit you're going to get from doing 10,000 plus aimbots, side to side movement. Eventually you're just going to plateau as a player if you're only using aimbots to warm up. I do use it because it's good for target acquisition, but after that I would honestly not recommend using it too much. Move on to the other maps, move on to DMing. So I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with going into a deathmatch and then trying to get a couple kills, because I kind of find in NA at least, people are very campy in deathmatch. They will literally sit in Palace balcony and they will get you as you spawn in the little corner in Palace. They will get you as you spawn at triple at CT, and it's just super annoying because how is that practice? What you're getting good at when you do deathmatch is you're getting used to clearing players from spots where they shouldn't be and taking head-to-head duels. But oftentimes I find that if you get into a situation where you're being spawn camped pretty consistently, it becomes really hard to find any sort of worthwhile practice in the deathmatch servers. I'm not saying they're not beneficial, I just think that in terms of using them, if you're using them and you're going to camp at balcony and Palace on Mirage, I swear to God you're the worst type of person. Please don't do that. All in all, practicing your aim and utility is key to improving as a player. Just try not to go too far down the rabbit hole where you're practicing 8 hours a day, because honestly, unless you're getting paid to play Counter-Strike, it's not going to be worth it long term. You're going to burn yourself out, and then you're going to be back at square one when you come back into the game. So my recommendation is take 1 to 2 days per week, set away up to 2 hours for your practice, and then move on from there. Most of your learning is going to come from your demo review and your time on the server. Everything else is gravy on top. I hope this video is helpful. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, sub if you loved it, Dave2D, that's a classic. Follow my Twitter if you want to get in touch with me, and watch me on Twitch, linked in the description below if you want to ask me questions while I'm playing CS live. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.